Welcome to Green Dot Daily. This is Action Network's daily sports betting show. I'm Maria Marino. We're live every weekday at 3 Eastern on YouTube and the Action app, where you can also find us on demand. Today on the show, did the Celtics deserve to move on in the playoffs? We'll get into that with Tim Kalinowski, plus all kinds of picks for NASCAR, IndyCar, Premier League Soccer, and MLB, which is where we start with our director of predictive analytics, Sean Koerner, who is 9-2, up 7.4 units the past 2 weeks, and 43-22 overall, so up 23.5 units this MLB season. Sean, glad you could grace us with your presence. What's a prop you like for today?
So the first prop that I love is Hunter Brown over 5.5 strikeouts at -140 right now. And he's looking like a legit contender for AL Rookie of the Year right now. He's cleared this in 5 of 9 starts this year. But I think the window of getting value on his over in the K-prop market is coming to a close very soon. So this might be one of the few times we get to take his over. But, all 3 of his main pitches this season have generated a 23% or greater whiff rate, which is amazing. And he's actually only throwing his split finger 3% of the time, but has been absolutely lethal this year, generating a 60% whiff rate. And he's yet to allow a hit on it. So I think that's a pitch he's going to mix in even more going forward, and that's just going to boost his K rate even more. And the interesting thing is he only throws the split finger against left-handed hitters. So the A's will probably have 5 left-handed batters in today's lineup. So I think that's going to force him to throw his split finger even more, which is great for this market. And this is an easy matchup. He's facing the Oakland A's, who are just absolutely terrible. They rank bottom 5 in run value against both of his main pitches, fastball and slider. So I'm projecting this closer to -200 today.
All right, riding with Brown against the A's. What else do you like on the MLB slate?
The other prop I love is George Kirby under 5.5 strikeouts. You can get at even money right now, but Kirby's a very good pitcher, and the main reason for that is his approach involves just throwing a ton of strikes. So he rarely walks hitters as a result, which is good. But the trade-off is, of course, he does tend to pitch to contact a bit more. He's only generated a 9% swinging strike rate on the season, and his fastball is the only pitch that's generated a whiff rate above 16%. So 5.5 is a pretty high K prop for a guy with those kind of peripherals. But in order to generate strikeouts, he tends to need hitters to swing at pitches outside of the zone, and the Pirates don't do that. They've swung at pitches outside of the zone at the second lowest rate in the league. So this is a tough matchup for him. And the Pirates actually have a positive run grade against his 2 main pitches, fastball and curveball. Those are the only pitches the Pirates have a positive run rate against. So this is going to be a tougher matchup for him to rack up strikeouts. I'm projecting the under closer to -165.
All right, well, we will actually have more on that Pirates-Mariners matchup a bit later in the show, so stick around for that. But if you follow Sean Koerner in the Action app, you probably know that his WNBA record isn't too shabby either. Naturally, I have to get a W pick from you for this evening.
Yes, of course. I love the over on this Wings Storm game. Right now, you can get it at 160. So each of these teams have only played 1 game so far, so we don't have that big of a sample yet. But both of their games rank 1 and 2 fastest paced games on the season. And the Wings opening game against the Dream was the second fastest paced game of the season, and the Dream's following game against the Lynx was the slowest pace game of the season. So that tells me that the Wings are playing at a very fast pace to open the season. And on the other side, the Storm's offense will certainly take a big step back this year without Breanna Stewart, but they won't be as bad as their opening game. They only made 32% of their shots from the field, 60% from the charity stripe. Jewel Lloyd had a rough opener. She only shot 7 of 25 from the field, but I chalk that up to them just facing the defending champs in the Aces. So look for the, Jewel Lloyd and the Storm to bounce back here, have a better shooting percentage in what should be a pretty fast-paced game. So I'm projecting this game closer to 163.
Very nice. And our colleague Jim Turvey and I talked about this game on the Buckets podcast. So make sure you go check that out. I'll just give you a little primer that Jim was on the Dallas side of things. But Sean, I don't know if you know this, but I am very slowly training to become your protege. So I am starting to get into making some more picks of my own. There was a prop that I liked from today's slate. I wanted to run it by you.
Go for it.
All right. So obviously it's very exciting time seeing more WNBA player props available on the market. I haven't been shy about being high on Elena Delle Donne coming into this season. So I took her to go over 6.5 rebounds tonight. So she's averaging 7.3 so far this season, but that number is a little skewed because she only had 4 in the season opener against a Liberty team that is just much bigger in size than Chicago, who she's up against tonight. I like that matchup of Delle Donne, who's 6'5", against Elizabeth Williams, who's the big on Chicago and is 6'3". Aside from Williams, it's actually the Chicago guards that have been really crashing the glass. So Williams is getting sort of the bulk of the minutes, and the lineup is generally smaller. Also, Delle Donne averaged 6.3 rebounds per game last year, but that was only playing 27.8 minutes per game. Across 3 games this year, she's averaging 34 minutes per game. Also, just like the intangible factor here, the Mystics last played on Tuesday, so a good 3 days rest in between. They're coming off 2 straight losses against the Sun. I know they will be hungry to get back to 500 on the season, and obviously winning the rebounding battle couldn't hurt. So Sean, what do you think? What do you make of my pick?
Yeah, so I gave this a B+. Honestly, there aren't really A+ props out there today. This is probably one of the better props on the board. And we have to leave room for the A+, your Sabrina under 5.5. I think at one point it was 6.5 assists for opening day was an A+ grade because that ticked every single box. But I like the EDD over here as well. You know, I'm projecting this closer to 7.5, 62% chance to cover. But, you know, as you mentioned, especially heading into the season, EDD is 100%. You know, they're not going to have to limit her minutes or rest her every other game or something like that. So she's played 33 or more minutes all 3 games this season. So that just gives her a really high floor. Plus, you know, the Sky, they're 2-0, but they're not as good as the record would indicate. I still think their offense is going to struggle. The only concern I have is just that this will be a slower paced game. So we just might not see as many possessions. So that could lower the potential missed shots. She even has a chance to get a rebound. But other than that, I do like this over as well. So I'll probably be tailing this with you.
I feel warm and fuzzy. Sean, I hope to be like you one day. I appreciate the grade, and we'll be in this together later tonight. Thanks so much for joining Green Dot Daily. Always good to have you on.
Absolutely. Good luck tonight.
Thanks. More baseball coming your way as we take a look at some notable games for Friday. Noah Syndergaard and the Dodgers taking on Jalen Beeks and the Rays at 6:40 Eastern. Could this be a World Series preview? Then later, the best pitching matchup of the day, Mitch Keller and the Pirates against George Kirby and the Mariners. With that, we say hello to BJ Cunningham. Good to see you. What side are you on when it comes to Dodgers Rays?
Yeah, I like the Rays at -108 here at home. You know, Noah Syndergaard, he's just not the pitcher that he once was with the Mets. You know, before he had Tommy John in 2019, he was averaging about 97 miles per hour on his fastball and his sinker. Well, now, after Tommy John, he's averaging below 93 miles per hour. So for somebody who's a power pitcher like him, he doesn't really know how to pitch any other way. And you see that in his numbers right now. He has a 5.1 expected ERA, but his walk per 9 rate is only 1.43, and his K per 9 rate is extremely low as well. So he's essentially pitching to contact with a very low velocity. So that's why he's in the bottom 10% of baseball in expected batting average allowed. And he's facing the best lineup in baseball against right-handed pitching. And the Rays, against his 4-pitch mix of fastball, changeup, sinker, and cutter, have a plus 17.4 run value this season. The Rays are going to use an opener in Jalen Beeks. He's typically a reliever. He'll probably go through the order once or maybe just go 2 innings. The Rays also have 2 other lefties in their pen. That's important because the Dodgers are the second best lineup in baseball against righties, but they're 19th in weighted on base average against left-handed pitching. So you'll probably see the Rays mix and match a lot of relievers to give themselves the best possible matchups. So for Syndergaard to be only a pick'em on the road against the best lineup in baseball, I think is a little crazy. I have the Rays projected at minus 136, so I like the value on them at minus 108.
Yeah, just a tough task for Noah against a hot team like the Rays. Now, you also have a play on the last game on the slate. We mentioned Pirates, Mariners. What do you think for this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's my personal friend, Mitch Keller, Cedar Rapids, Iowa's own Mitch Keller, going up against George Kirby. And I think the price here for the first 5 innings on Keller is a little too high. You know, the best price you can find out there is plus 143. Keller's been awesome this season. He has a 2.82 expected ERA. His stuff plus is sitting at 103, pitching plus sitting at 107. If you compare that to George Kirby, who's also been really, really good for the Mariners, well, Kirby has a 2.98 expected ERA. His stuff plus is 104, and his pitching plus is 109. So there's really not much to separate these two pitchers who both have pitched very, very well this season. And then if you look at both of the offenses, well, the Pirates have a better weighted on base average than the Mariners do against right-handed pitching. So I'm not so sure that the Mariners should be this significant of favorites, especially at home for the first 5 innings. I understand they have a better bullpen than the Pirates, but so I like to target the Pirates here for the first 5 innings at plus 143. I do project them around plus 120. So I think you're getting a decent amount of value on Keller and the Pirates tonight.
You know, sounds like a nice, easy, straightforward plan of attack. And BJ, not only are you a baseball expert, but soccer is your specialty as well. So let's get into this weekend's action. And what's better than a little bet and breakfast, especially around a holiday? It's the final weekend of English Premier League, and the matchup that caught your eye, Everton-Bournemouth, Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. So what's the deal with this match? What will you be watching as you sip your coffee and have your breakfast?
Yeah, so what you're going to see around Europe, Maria, not only this weekend, but through, in Spain and Germany and Italy also finished up well, is there's something we like to call must-win tax. So Everton is in a situation right now where they need to win to avoid getting relegated. While Bournemouth is already safe from relegation, they can't really move up or down in the table or won't be as significant to them. So what you're seeing is the books put what we call a must-win tax on Everton. So I have Everton, if, taking away that tax, at projected at minus 105. Well, they're sitting as high as minus 215 right now. So and one of the hardest things in sports to handicap is motivation. I don't know where Bournemouth's head's at. I don't know if they've already booked some beautiful vacation to a Greek island or if they actually want to play spoiler and get Everton relegated. But from a matchup perspective, it's not really that good for Everton because they're going to be without their best striker, Dominique Calvert-Lewin, who has been so vital to them in their charge here to stave off relegation. They've created 10.3 expected goals in the 5 matches that he's played since he's returned from another injury before this season. And Everton under Sean Dyche, it's not the typical Sean Dyche defensive type team. They are a team that wants to get up and press high, disrupt build-up play. But the problem with Everton is they've been so bad in transition defense for so long that when you press high, you leave a lot of open space in behind for teams to hit you at in transition. That's exactly how Bournemouth plays, and that's how they thrive. So even if they don't care and they want to play aggressive and play in transition, they can really pick Everton apart if they choose to. I mean, Everton's allowing 2 expected goals per 90 under Sean Dyche. So I'm going to take Bournemouth +1 at even money. It's a price that I didn't think I'd see on Everton. They've never been higher than minus 120 this season. So it's, again, you see this throughout Europe of teams that need to win versus teams that have nothing to play for, that there's the books put essentially a tax on it if you want to bet the team that needs to win. So going the other way, historically, even though they have nothing to play for, has been a profitable venture over time.
Hey, it's a great strategy. And regardless of the motivation, vacation in Greece sounds pretty good right about now. I guess we can live with a little Memorial Day vacation in the meantime. BJ Cunningham, thanks for joining Green Dot Daily. Enjoy your weekend.
Thanks, Maria.
Green Dot Daily is presented by BetMGM. Use bonus code ACTION when signing up to get up to $1,000 paid back in bonus bets. If you don't win your first bet, terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. To racing, and we have predictive analyst at Action Network, Nick Giffen, with us now to preview a big weekend. Let's start in NASCAR with the Coca-Cola 600. What's your pick?
Yeah, I think this is an interesting one. So Alex Bowman, I am taking him for a top 5 finish. You can get that plus 360 at BetMGM. Bowman is going to be in his first race back from a back injury. He actually broke his back in a sprint car race a few weeks ago. And this was going to be sidelined 3 to 4 weeks, right at that 4-week time frame here. So I think his odds are longer simply because of the back injury. But for me, that's basically just saying, well, it kind of hurts his floor more than it hurts his upside because, if he's totally fine, he has his normal upside. So we're getting a guy who is in literally top tier equipment. Hendrick Motorsports has been the cream of the crop this year. We're getting him at 25-1 outright and plus 360 for a top 5. And he's consistently been a top 5 car this year when he has been in the car. In the other 1.5 mile oval race, so Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend is a 1.5 mile oval. The other 1.5 mile oval race that Alex Bowman raced at was at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And there he was 3rd in my field level adjusted green speed, aka flags metric. And that's kind of like a true speed metric. It's comparing every car to every other healthy car lap by lap. And so he was 3rd in that metric at the most comparable track he's raced at this year to Charlotte. In 2020, he led the most laps at the Coca-Cola 600, and he's finished inside the top 10 in 4 of the 5 Coca-Cola 600s with Hendrick Motorsports. So, like I said, there is that little bit of an injury concern, but that's more of, affecting potentially his consistency, his floor. It might lower his floor more, but his upside is still there as long as he's able to deal with the pain, and I think he should be able to deal with the pain just fine.
Hey, that sounds good. Hoping for a big bounce back for Bowman. And look, the Indy 500 is also on Sunday. Like I mentioned, huge weekend. Which driver are you riding with in that event?
Yeah, Indianapolis 500, biggest race of the whole weekend, biggest race in the world. There's gonna be 400,000 people in attendance. Alex Palou is my pick for this one. You can get him at 6-1. He is the race favorite, and I almost never take the race favorite for the Indy 500. So to me, that says a lot when I'm actually on the race favorite. He has had the car to beat all month of May. And one thing about Indianapolis 500 handicapping as a bettor, you need to listen to what I call the garage talk, the driver's talk, who's saying what about their cars, because practice times will be misleading based off the fact that we have a draft here. So we don't just want to look at practice times. Alex Palou, he seemed to be able to pass almost at will in nearly every practice session. And that's a lot of practice sessions because they practiced for a full 2 weeks. Plus they had an open test back in April at Indianapolis. So lots of practice sessions in every single session. Palou has said he loves his car. He's looked great over the long run. He's been able to pass at will. Of course, he put his car on pole as well. So he'll be starting from first. That never hurts. So, he really just does seem to be one of the cars to beat. Everybody's been talking about how he has been one of the cars to beat. So I think this time I'm actually going to ride with a favorite in Alex Palou.
Wow. Any other drivers to watch?
Oh, yeah. We got some drivers to watch. I'll give you 3 of them here real quick. First off, Felix Rosenqvist. When we talk about drivers to watch and who the other drivers are talking about, almost to a T, every single driver is saying Felix Rosenqvist has one of the best cars. So I don't think you can ignore that. You can find him at 13-1. Another driver to watch is our defending race winner of the Indy 500, Marcus Ericsson. You can get him at 14-1. First of all, blows my mind. You can get the defending race winner at 14-1, especially when he's in top tier Ganassi equipment. And TV, the commentators on TV or on Peacock, they said he was the only driver that was happy with his car after the hot Monday practice session. That's important because race day is going to be hot. So when they interview all the drivers and he was the only one that was really happy with conditions that were closest to the race, gotta like him at 14-1. Finally, We have to go to my guy, Kyle Kirkwood. I'm taking the bias out of this. I promise. I'm not biased here, but you can find him at 30-1. And in this final practice session, which we just had this morning, he was able to pass cars seemingly at will on carb day. That's what the final practice session is called, carburetor day. And when TV interviewed him right at the end of practice, he was beaming. I mean, he said his car in Kyle Kirkwood terms was fine and dandy. I love it. He's such a nice guy. So really like Kyle Kirkwood at 30-1. He's said multiple times throughout this month that he has one of the cars to beat.
I have to admit, when you said carb day, I was thinking like pizza, something a little different. But listen, before we let you go, I know you're out there in Vegas. How are you feeling about your Golden Knights?
Oh man, I feel good. Aiden Hill looks amazing as our goalkeeper right now. I know we lost game 4, but he played amazing. A lot of those goals weren't on him. So feeling really good. And it's going to be a great matchup for my Golden Knights to go against the Florida Panthers. Yes, I'm already putting them through to the Stanley Cup final.
Love it. Well, Nick Giffen, we always appreciate the racing insight and you giving us the lay of the land. So thanks for joining the show and enjoy all of the action this weekend.
Absolutely. And make sure to check out both of our Running Hot episodes this week. We have one for the Indy 500 and one for the Coke 600.
Sounds good. Get up to $1,000 paid back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's welcome Tim Kalinowski back to the program. Good to see you, stranger. Nice threads, by the way.
Thank you.
You must be so hyped for this weekend. You have sports, you got Memorial Day, and I hear it's even your birthday coming up.
Yeah, that's like the worst part of the whole deal, honestly. The birthday, like I'm an anti-birthday guy. I'm a big, hey, who are you to think that you get your special day? We all have a birthday. Like what makes you so special? And so it is my birthday on Sunday. And it's like, you know what? Once you're 21, does it really matter?
I mean, I think it's good to celebrate life, have a reason, like an excuse to like get together with friends. No,
that is very true. But my birthday's Memorial Day weekend. It's always like I'm kind of like phased out a little bit. Like I wish it was my birthday was, if I could choose it, it'd always be like a Wednesday in like February where I could be like, all right, we got a drink. Like I'll give us a reason. It's my birthday.
I can see why that would give you a little bit of a complex, that and like the whole getting old thing, that can be stressful. My birthday is in August, so I got nothing going on and it's summer. So
yeah, I mean, it is good. And again, it should be a good weekend. We have a lot of racing, a lot of good sports. Again, like a lot of, I'm a big motorsport guy. So NASCAR, F1, Indy 500, but I'm kind of be on like a mini vacation kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't think people are going to respect my birthday wishes, which would be to just sit inside all day. So that's kind of where the whole hang up is.
Okay, you would rather just like be on the couch and chilling and watching all the action. But you know what? You are up there in Boston. We've talked about the Celtics with you here and there. Do you believe? I mean, they now have won 2 straight games. Could they come back?
It's funny, right? How they're like plus 120 now to win the series. And even when it was at its peak, it was like, plus 800 or something like that. Like I keep hearing, they would be they're the best team ever to like be in a 3-0 deficit. I guess I keep hearing, and I watch this team and it's like, sure, I believe, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if I want them to come back. Like, I'll just say this, the whole thing, they go down 3-0 and it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. That quote came out from Woj. It was like, we never really agreed with the Ime firing. And look, and I'm not here to debate that. It's like, the season still isn't over yet. So then 2 games later, you're telling me, believe. Oh, you guys did believe. It's like, guys, like 2 days ago, you were burying the coach. So do you guys believe?
Yeah, you're right. It's been like an excuse already kind of forming prematurely. And then all of a sudden it was like, don't let us get one, and they're shooting the lights out. And I think what's probably most annoying about this team is that it seems like they have to get their butts handed to them before they can play well.
100%. I was listening to Boston Sports Radio today, and they were like, oh, they need the paper due the next morning, and it's like midnight, and they got to cram it in. Like that's them. And look, a lot of us should be able to relate to that, but I'm like, guys, you're so talented. Why does it you stop making the margin so thin for yourselves? That's what's so frustrating.
So you don't necessarily feel like they deserve to advance at this point?
I was talking to you earlier, and I'm like, they're one of the whiniest teams. I know the NBA is you beg for calls, you this, but they've had this aura to them for the say 5 years or so. That's like, we're crowned, like we're already here. For some strange reasons, ever since like they went to the Eastern Conference Finals against LeBron, and they just felt like they were there, and they carry themselves like they're Golden State. It's like, you guys got nothing. Right.
I have to say, I've gotten a little sick of seeing Tatum like whine at the refs all the time. He even got teed up for it in the last game. And I also think that the Heat are very easy to root for because it's easier to like root for underdogs. Everybody seems to love like the Jimmy Butler story and like how he came up, and this team is like not even supposed to be here. So it just makes it even like, I feel like for you, it would be even more palatable if it's like the Heat that move on.
Right. And it's like I said, like you root for the laundry, right? Boston, green, go green. But then at the same time, you watch his team. I'm like, if they were the opponent, I would hate these guys. And I would love to root for Jimmy Butler. I would hate watching Tatum and Smart. They'd be the easiest like targets ever to have some sports hate on the other side with.
All right. Well, just do me a favor. Be careful walking around Boston after publicly giving this take.
Yeah. I'm getting out of Dodge. I am getting out of Dodge. I promise you that.
Wait, so, ever since the, horrible Bruins performance in the NHL postseason, have you still been dialed into the hockey?
I have, and unfortunately, the hockey has kind of sucked. I make fun of the NBA. I call it the National Blowout Association sometimes, but it's been the NHL. They have not delivered. I'll tell you this: Matthew Tkachuk for the Panthers it's great to see a star like him and kind of his coming out party. But aside from that, we've seen sweeps. We've seen some overtime games, but it's like either an overtime game or like a 6-0 game. And I don't love that. That doesn't go good for a pro hockey guy. That makes my argument pretty tough. But I have been watching because I'm a sucker and I watch it all.
Okay, but just to recap this conversation, everything sucks.
Just about, yeah. Happy birthday, Memorial Day weekend. You're the last segment before Memorial Day weekend. Maybe have a drink. This and it's like, no. I'm on my way to being 30. I'm not gonna be able to watch all the racing I want to watch. Boston, I can't even decide if I like my teams. Yeah, that's good. People really want to hear that, especially with Boston. And the NHL, the sport I love, also sucks. So yeah, Maria, should be good vibes, right?
You sound like you're on your way to a quarter-life crisis. It's okay. I've been there. But do try to celebrate, have a cocktail, and I'm glad that you could send us off on a high note into the weekend, Tim.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to try and lighten up. I think I got it out. It was like a therapy session.
I'm glad I could be of service. All right, take care. See you soon.
We'll see, Maria.
Remember, any picks we give out here on the show, you can easily reference by following green.daily in the Action app. We keep track so you don't have to. That's going to do it for green.daily. Once again, I'm Maria Marino. Thanks for watching all week long. Enjoy the holiday weekend. I'll see you again Monday at 3 Eastern on the Action Network YouTube channel and the Action app.